just a little bit on the front section of it. You can just kind of plunge it in here, and that'll lube up that little O-ring. So instead of you trying to get your fingers in there or whatever else, you can just stick it on the rammer itself and kind of work her back and forth. Other people might be familiar with this idea from other places. Anyway, so when you're going to put this rammer housing back on, it's really straightforward. Let me get my view back up here so I can see what's going on. It's really straightforward. Come on. There you go. Yeah. So as you can see, I got the little hose, and it needs to go into there. So line this thing up. The hose already has like a kind of nice shape on it, so it already wants to go in there. So all I need to do is just kind of stick the tip in, and then slide that back on. There you go. So that's it. Just stick the tip in, and then jam the back on there, and then pull that thing out. Do you need to pull that thing out? Or that little collar out? I have no idea, but I do it anyway. And yes, I realize that like 90% of the things I just said could be translated as something extremely dirty, but whatever. There's no avoiding it. So make sure your solenoid wires are out of the way. Also, I should have mentioned that actually. When you are putting that noid back in, or this rammer housing, you need to really watch that these wires, because there is a good chance that you actually jam it in between, and then when you shove the rammer housing back in, it could pinch your wires. It has the potential to do it. I don't know of anybody that has done it, but it's definitely something that I suggest you watch out for. Come on, wires, get the fuck out the way. There we go. So just smack the frame back on there. Make sure she's lined up. And I will put in the back screw first. Because it's significantly easier, or so she would have you believe. Oh, come on. It should be significantly easier, but apparently I can't hit the hole. Let me get this screw out of here. Slightly off center. I need to dry up my hand again. I guess I'll put in the front screw first. We'll see if she wants to cooperate a little bit better. And she does. Oh, crap. There we go. It's quiet. Almost too quiet. Man, I can't believe I can't get these screws in. Get the hell ass noob up here. Alright, well. Now we'll go back to the drawing board and try the back one. I'm actually pretty amazed that I'm not managing it, because I did this just a week ago and I did not have these issues. Oh, I don't want more shit falling on the floor. Let me just pop up the frame here. I think I have something out of its spots, because it's not matching up at all. So I think it's decided that it's going to give me a little bit of shit here. And that is not what I want on my Saturday. son of a bitch. There we go. How are we sitting now? Still sitting a bit strange. It's really weird. I'm not sure what's up. Give it one more shot, and if I can't get her lined up again, I will have to finish up the video with it open. There we go. Now I'm wasting your time. Alright. Again, I don't know what that was. I probably didn't have something lined up correctly. But I'm not quite sure what it is that I wouldn't have lined up correctly. But anyway, just quickly tighten down this screw a little bit. I will save you the time of me having to get this thing back on. And just get it on enough to where I can, quickly use it. So that's basically the gun. I'm not going to pull out the poppet valve. Like I said, I'm not going to do a full strip, or else this video is going to be even longer than it probably already is. You don't really need to get to poppet valves unless they're giving you problems. I never suggest that you take maintenance on a poppet valve unless it's already giving you problems, or unless it's been a really long time. So to get to your poppet valve, all you would do is, as you can see here with the HPR, there's a little screw in there. You remove that set screw, and then you pull out the LPR housing here. Alright, sorry about that. Had to cut it real quick because apparently I used 8 gigs worth of video already, so I'm assuming this thing's running really long. So I'll try to speed her up. I'm not sure where it cut off. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to have to discuss the poppet section again. So anyway, I don't suggest that you take maintenance on your poppet valve unless you're getting problems. So you're just gonna, go in through the HPR, remove that screw, pull out the LPR housing, and then you have access in there that'll get you to your poppet valve and everything else. Do some quick final thoughts to get this moving, since I'm sure I'm down to extremely small handful of people that are actually willing to want something this long if I have already cleared 8 gigs. So, get this tightened on here, and get the bolt back into place. So, as I've said before on the forums and stuff, one thing that I really notice with the gun is, when I put in a bolt, I always kind of click it in there, and then I push it forward up against the poppet valve. You'll see that it pops back. So that tells me that the bolt's in the right spot. So the first thing that I really noticed is it's really, really light. There's not much resistance at all that goes into moving that poppet valve. And I think that's another contributing factor as far as how smooth the gun actually ends up. It's just that valve opens easy, everything's got bumpers on it, so it's a good design for actually good performance, Let me get the HPR here again. The gun does not fully degas. Now I'm not going to do any more working on the gun, I'm just going to discuss. So the gun does not fully degas when you turn off the ASA, which is disappointing. I do like to see guns that fully degas. A trick that I've always used with guns that don't fully degas is I'll just kind of crack the HPR a little bit, and then it just leaks out that last little bit, and then I tighten up the HPR. That does not work with the Alien. It doesn't work with some guns, but when you, let me get the tank in here, when you gas this thing up, it actually, or when you degas it, I'm sorry, when you degas the gun, the HPR actually drains fully. Hang on one second here. Got a slight leak in the LPR. If you do have a leak in your LPR when you put it back together, it's fairly common. You just need to put the thing back in. As you can hear, now there's no leak. Just quickly unscrew it, rearrange it. Sometimes when you've just after you've maintained it, it doesn't quite seal up on that first try. So just pop her open, kind of adjust the thing a little bit, and then get her back in. So anyway, I'm gassed up. So when you degas, you'll hear that it drains quite a bit. So you would think now the entire gun's degassed. But that is not at all the case. This is how you know that a stack tube pop has still got gas in it. Unless it's... it'll still return if it's a phaser design, but for these types of guns, that's still gas. So you figure, well, I'll unscrew the LPR, or the HPR a bit. There you go. As you can see, I've got the HPR all the way out, still gassed. So you cannot drain it through the HPR. It keeps all that air that is still in the... come on, screw back in. Yeah, fuck it. It keeps all the air that's still in that rammer chamber. So that's completely separate from the HPR section, which is a shame because I usually drain through the HPR. So the only way to get rid of that air is actually to shoot it. Quickly turn it on, one press to get the eyes off. Try to quiet this thing down so I don't wake up the damn kid. And there you go. You are now degassed. It's like I said, I like guns that fully degas, but it at least degasses the HPR, so you don't get enough to where you get multiple shots or anything like that. Get the tank off here. So I'll do quick final thoughts now that we're running stupid long. I really like the Alien, actually. Jack Rice, for those of you who don't know, Jack Rice is the owner and creator of Alien. He and I have butted heads a bunch of times. We've had hefty and lengthy discussions about several things, including his invasion and other things not related to the Sweet Bolt, since I don't want to get into it. Basically, I'd shot a 2009 Independence about a year and a half ago, and didn't shoot that great. I was not all that impressed, and now that I bought my own and I've actually tuned it, I know exactly why that thing didn't shoot as well as they actually do. And that is because you really, really need to tune an Alien. If you want this thing to be a good performer, it needs that LPR tuned. It's not like a Bob Long where it's 5 PSI makes it inconsistent, and then you have that magical middle ground where it works really nice, and then if you put a little bit too much pressure, it starts kicking a lot, but it's not too far off. It's not small adjustments, so you actually need a pressure tester like with the Bob Long, but it really, really will kick a good deal if you do not have this LPR set up correctly. And when the one that I was shooting probably had it with a much higher pressure than what it actually has now. When I first got the gun, I thought it was kicking up. It was quite loud. It had a really off. It sounded. If you've ever been to an arcade or something and you have one of those guns, it's like a two-handed gun that you're just shooting the cannon at these little dolls. You need to knock them over. It has that ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. That's what this gun sounded like when the LPR was not tuned correctly, and now it's much more of that low-pitched thud that I like to hear out of markers. You don't have a strong smack sound. There's no crack to it. There's no pinging. There's no nothing. It's a hit and a whoosh, hit and whoosh, hit whoosh, and it has a good sound on it. It is not as quiet as my Cyborg. It is not as quiet as a bulk of the spoolies out there. But I just got rid of my my Revy and it is worlds quieter than that Revy. It's quieter by far than the G6R, and then, you know, by proxy quieter than the Ego 11. It's quieter than, I can only off the top of my head think of two poppets, two stacked tube poppets that are quieter than this gun, and that is the Creed and the Cyborg. The Creed's the quietest that I've ever had. I do not have experience with the Impulse, so I'm not going to pass judgment against the Impulse. I've heard very good things about it, but I honestly don't know. I've never even shot an Impulse. But anyway, so those are the only two guns I know that are quieter than this. They're stacked tube poppets. It is quieter than the Victory. I don't think that it's quieter than the Axe. The Axe is actually a pretty quiet gun, and then the same goes for the Mini. Those are actually really, really quiet guns. So I don't think it outdoes them. As far as smoothness, I'm going to put it right there with the Cyborg RX and the Creed. It is a really smooth gun. It is not a Victory. It is not an Axe, but it is not far off. You still, you know, there's just something special about the feel on the shot of the Alien. Because of those bumpers or something, it just does not have that hit. You know, stacked tube poppets always have that, you know, when you're holding it in your hands, when you shoot, you can feel in your hands that rammer hitting the poppet and then coming back. And I really just don't feel it with the Alien. I've tried sitting and concentrating and figuring out what it is that I'm feeling in the hands, because you do have feedback. I just don't know what it is. I've never shot a gun that shoots quite like it. I need to put the feeling in the hands somewhere in between the Victory and your typical stacked tube poppet. It's not as smooth as the Victory, but it still has, it doesn't have that hit. It reminds me a lot of a Victory, just not as smooth as the Victory. So in that light, I'm really, really impressed by the Alien. I think that it's a great shooter. I think they're highly underrated. I think that they could do with better grips. The Invasion has better grips, so that's that. I think that it could be a little bit quieter and smoother. Obviously, every gun could be. But I think for the prices and everything, it's actually a really, really good gun. If you want to go in with believing in the sweet bolt, again, I'm not passing judgment on that, then, you know, if it works for you, if that sweet bolt you feel does something for you, it's a phenomenal deal. The gun's easy to work on, it's quick and easy to strip. There's a few little quirks. Like I said, I don't really like the way that the HPR works on it, but other than that, it's a well-designed trigger. The board's got all the modes you want, and you get OLEDs for them. I really like the ASA for what it is. I'd still prefer to have, obviously, a Pops or something like that, but for what it is, an OOPS style, it's definitely better than the OOPS. Great feed neck, stock barrel, whatever, I don't like stock barrels. It's a really good gun and efficient. I originally pegged it probably around 1,500 shots per 45 68 or 68-45, but it's probably closer to 1,008, somewhere in there. Like I said, I play a lot of reballs, so it's really hard for me to say. I can't get exact numbers, but I would not be shocked at all if I shot 1,008 through this gun. The dwell, I have it at 12, but I know that I can tune that down. It's just entering programming mode on this gun is a little bit time consuming compared to other guns. I'm not going to go into it because this, like I said, the video is already really long, and I apologize for that. The plan was to actually make this a shorter video than I made before, but this is going to end up with Alien Independence 09, the movie, as with many of my other guns. But yeah, so I mean, I can't say too much bad about the gun. I already apologized on. I already apologized to Jack Rice on some of the assertions that I made. The gun's a better shooter than the G6R and the Vice. You know, the G6R has nicer grips and it's macro lineless and whatever else, but the Alien definitely shoots better. It outperforms the Ego. It outperforms most of the guns that you're probably accustomed to as far as poppets go. So in that regard, I think the gun deserves a lot of respect. And yeah, it's definitely eating some of the words that I put out, but it's a good gun. I still like my Cyborg RX better, and I think that it came with, you know, for the prices they're going for used, you really get a good package with the RX. But the Alien might be my third favorite gun that I've had. It's after the RX and it's after the Quest, but I think it's probably my third favorite gun that I've ever owned. So now that I have rambled on like an old man telling war stories, I think I'll cut it here and hope that this thing's under an hour and a half. Take it easy, guys.